AASS was not just white folks. There were black individuals who were part of the AASS as well. The most famous of them was this man. Again, this is a picture of him later in life. This is Frederick Douglass. The AASS was an organization started by white folks, but it had more black members than it did white members. The Liberator had more black subscribers than it did white subscribers. Frederick Douglass was probably the most visible black person in America in the years before the Civil War. Frederick Douglass was the most well-known black person in America before the Civil War. He had been born in slavery in Maryland and had escaped. We don't know how he escaped. He wrote his life story, the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. He wrote it himself. But he left out the part about how he escaped because he wanted to protect the people that helped him. And he never, even though he lived to a ripe old age, he never told how it was he managed to escape. Yeah, but it might have been with the spoons. You know, it may have been that my high school history teacher, Michael Dungan, in Jonesboro, Arkansas, in 1978, knew something that has been lost to history.
Stole the big car.
Yeah. Stole a big car and got his ass to freedom. Sounds like a great song, doesn't it? I stole me a car, got my ass to freedom. And you all like that? So Douglass is somebody who speaks at these AASS meetings. At one meeting he says, and let me quote from him because it's a wonderful sentence, "I appear before you tonight as a thief and a robber. I stole this head, these limbs, this body from my master and ran off with them." In fact, he becomes so famous that he's afraid. He's afraid that his owner will track him down, and so he has to flee to England for about 10 or 12 years. And while he's over there, he speaks and he earns enough money that when he comes back, he buys himself. So Garrison and Douglass are friends. And Douglass is a significant part of the AASS. So is another individual, a woman. And that in and of itself is unique. This woman's name is Sojourner Truth. Now, this is not her birth name. This is a pen name, right? You know, you guys know, hopefully, that artists and writers adopt names. 50 Cent was not born 50 Cent. Right. We don't have the doctor saying, now what name goes on this on the birth certificate? Oh, 50. 50 Cent. Sting was not born Sting. All right. This woman adopts this name, Sojourner Truth. A sojourn is a journey, a long trek that has a goal. And truth means truth. So she adopts this name, Sojourner Truth. She was a dynamic speaker at a time when it was very rare to see women speak in public at rallies anyway, let alone an African American woman. This was just unheard of for a woman who had been in slavery to get up and speak before white audiences, and yet she did. Her most famous sermon, it really was a sermon, she said, I've plowed and I've planted and I've gathered into barns and no man could best me. I've borne 13 children and seen most all of them sold off into slavery, and when I cried out with a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard. And aren't I a woman? That was the title of this sermon, Aren't I a Woman? One time, she was accused of being a man. And she tore open her dress. And the phrase she used was, she said, look at these dugs. She said, I've nursed 13 children. I'm a woman. Powerful individuals to see speak, Douglas and Truth. So they represent this third component. Now, only about 10% of the white population of the country ever really bought into the idea of emancipation. Only about 10% of the white population of America ever bought into the idea that blacks were socially and politically and physically and spiritually and intellectually equal to whites, and that this should be a multiracial society. Probably only about a third of the population in the 1830s and 40s and 50s ever believed that slavery was wrong. So you've got about 1/3 of the population that believes slavery shouldn't exist, but only about 10% are willing to go all the way and say, let's let black folks be free and let them live in an integrated society. So just keep in the back of your head that throughout all of the stuff that we're going to talk about now, between now and the end of the semester, all this political stuff that's going on, this movement is concurrent, is happening at the same time we all have. Now, there are a handful of you all in the room, and you know who you are, who haven't picked up your tests yet. You need to know how you're doing so you can decide if you're going to drop the class or not. So if you haven't picked up tests yet, I need to have you come up and do that. Brian, I need to bend your ear for just a second. That's something. I appreciate